Hello, everyone. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We are live on the Blossom and Brew podcast. I am your host, Regina L. Sawyer, and I'm here with my illustrious co host.
Ilka Pinero. Hello. Hey.
Hello. Hey, hey. We took a little hiatus last week. I had a lot of things going on, folks.
Mm,
So, my apologies, but there's nothing but love, sincerity here in this space from me to you and to my co-host.
yes, ma'am.
But I'm here now. We're here now.
Yes, we are. We're here. We're here. And you know what? I as soon as you said, I was like, don't apologize for shit. Ain't nobody paying us for this. Ain't
No, it's
nobody
true.
we do it just man, whatever. Man, sometimes you just gotta be like, you know what, I don't fucking feel like it. I don't feel like finding the link and sitting down and talking to my friend so everybody else could listen. You and I could just be on the phone.
That's
Um,
true. That's
you
true.
know.
But I mean, full disclosure, guys, I've been taking care of my aunt who was in the hospital, and she's faring better. But I'm still up here in the boogie down Bronx, overlooking the
Woo!
Hudson River, which is gorgeous. On her terrace and seeing all the strange boats. I'm like, what is this one, and that one? What is your purpose? But it's the truth. I'm like, what is that? What is this freighter? Why are you sitting in front of the apartment building? Like, what is this?
Mm,
Um, I guess it's 2020. Don't ask no questions.
I mean, well, I think we can ask uh, a couple questions. I mean, things are hot and wild in these streets. And just before we went live, I was telling Regina, I was just like, fuck it. Let's just keep it real authentic. Just have the chats and figure out what the hell it is that's doing and what's out in these streets. I mean, what do we even want to talk about, girl?
I mean, there's so much. There's so much.
Right. That's why I'm like, I feel like I have analysis paralysis a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
mean, we usually prep. We promise you, we usually prep. But this was sort of like, let's get back into the groove of the podcast. I mean, there's a lot going on out here. We have the Democratic National Convention. We have WAP. We didn't talk about WAP. Like, there's anything to say about WAP.
ah!
If we have anything to say about WAP, that is. Um, we have, um, gosh, there's other things, but I feel like I'm like in a time warp. So if there's
Yeah.
anything that has happened that you know about that I don't know about, please feel free to jump in
Oh,
anytime.
doubtful. I don't think there's anything. Um,
No,
I
well,
oh,
Kamala
oh, well, I mean, I
being
feel like that's
announced.
all involved in the
Well, the
in the in
DNC.
in the circus, as it were.
Well, I'll be
Um,
honest. I have not watched the Democratic National Convention, um, mainly because I didn't realize it was on. Like, I mean, no, I saw people tweeting. It's not that I didn't see anyone tweeting. I saw people tweeting, and then it's like, yeah, but what time does this sucker come on so I can, see whatever? It's like, oh, it's coming on at 10 o'clock at night, which isn't really late. But I was like, what state are they in that they are doing this at 10 o'clock at night, East Coast Standard Time?
well, they're all over the place, right?
Oh,
Because
that's yeah,
it's all Zoom things.
yeah. So they may have just settled on, let's just make it 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time and call it a day. And people are
Something.
staying up to watch it and participate and so forth. But again, I feel like I'm like in a time loop because I'm like, when, where, how, who said
Uh,
what? Someone brought calamari
what?
to one of their speeches. Yeah, I guess they were discussing. I don't know who
Oh,
that was because I didn't take a look.
I think you can see
Um,
it all on YouTube.
I'm quite sure, certain it's all right. I'll cherry pick. I'll definitely cherry pick.
Right. I yes, it is happening. I think today is what, day 3 or something. I don't know. I don't understand how
I
any.
think it's four. I think it's day 4. I think it started Monday.
Already.
Yeah, I think it started Monday night.
Oh, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I checked out. Honestly, I checked out after the first night when I saw on Twitter Billy Porter's performance.
Child,
Um, I, I,
child.
I, I, I saw that. I saw that, and I and I tried to talk to a friend that I thought would know because I thought she might be involved in that, and her first response was, "That's not real." She didn't. I don't even think she looked at it. I just was like, "Do you know about this thing?" She goes, "That can't be real." And I was like,
Yes,
"Okay,
indeed it
okay."
was.
And I was just like, you know what? And I had that thought too. Like even prior to bringing it to her, I was like, "This can't be real." And I was like, "Oh no, this is real. This is real. This is real. This is happening." And it just, and I mean, there's so many offshoots of the conversation that are happening, that can happen from just from that, and about how, like, somebody said, what am I trying to say here? The way, to me, part of the reason that I am avoiding this whole election cycle as much as possible, aside from what I feel like will be like when I just kind of like can't help it anymore and do a rant. And I am actually really challenging myself to like move my thoughts to more formal settings, like my website and Patreon and stuff, because I'm not really trying to give Zuckerberg any content that I care about. So I say all that to say there does feel like the corporate propaganda, to me at the very least, feels very evident, like and I'm sure it was always there, and I just didn't really notice it, like so many of us before, adulthood, because I did started to notice it with Obama, frankly. That was really the first time that I started to kind of really be like, oh, this is like, a lot of this is circus, a lot of this is performance. And so this like piece of corporate propaganda that feels like it comes up, like I feel like how I had thoughts and feelings about Ava DuVernay's little comment, her statement of like, I know what she did, I know what went after her comment, for the context, even though I would imagine and hope that a lot of y'all know, but maybe you don't. After Kamala Harris got the nomination, Ava DuVernay came out and in celebration, I think, of her. Of the nomination, rather, like put this whole statement out on her Instagram, and basically stated, like, in a very short version, we're on the brink of destruction, and quit your bitching, and vote no matter what. It's longer than that, not actually much more nuanced than that, honestly, in my opinion, but that's what she said. And I don't follow her. I don't really engage with too many celebrities. And the ones I really do follow are ones I have, like, just bald faced sexual crushes on. It's true. So the reason this came to my attention was because of so many people, majority non-Black, but some Black people, who shared it on their stories, thereby like boosting this signal of this thing that this woman said. And so I went back and I read it, and I was just like, this feels very chastising to me. This feels like it is really out of alignment with, like, I basically was just like, the lady who brought us the 13th, and when they see us, is basically telling us to sit down and be quiet and not demand more. That feels incongruous to me. Another thing that felt incongruous to me was, not incongruous necessarily, but like, I had a desire for clarity about who the fuck exactly it was she was talking to. Because it felt to me like she was talking to niggas. Like, I was like, are you talking to Black people right now? Because if you're talking to Black people right now, you're an op. because it just felt like, I mean, I don't and this whole thing of, and I understand the sentiment. Like, I understand the sentiment of like, vote them in and hold them accountable. But I also understand how that's like logically fallacious, right? Like, there's who's going to be like, yes, now that you've given me the power, I'm going to listen to you, even though I didn't listen to you and I have the power now. Like, I'm just sort of like, what? And then on just a real base level, like, don't silence me. Like, don't, especially not the Black electorate, because we're captive, right? We're this captive electorate, and this happens every time. This conversation happens every fucking election cycle, where somehow Black people, who are the ones who tend to show up, right, are still somehow always such a big part of this electoral conversation, right? And I appreciate that kind of discourse around this electoral conversation is happening, where like more Black people with platforms are like, keep us out of it, right? Like, let us fucking grumble. Like, we should be allowed to grumble because, once again, those of us who choose to engage in what, honestly, at least for Black people, feels like insanity, if the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right? Like, I understand the, like, the ins and outs and the voting and the not voting, and my stance has always been like, don't say shit to Black people that feel whatever way about voting, because it is a really nuanced and, like, challenging and psychically, like, wrought decision for us every time. I think people that identify as Black in America. So this thing where, like, this person, it just felt real, like I said, incongruous to me, that, like, this person who, her, like, for better or worse, a big part of her milieu is, like, like, kind of like humanizing Black people for white people in a historical context. Let's be honest, it is. Um, that she would come out and basically be like, "But y'all have to shut the fuck up now," when, like, we're not the ones to be told to shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, if, like, we might grumble and moan and blah 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 blah, but, like, the Black people who vote for, quote unquote, the party that is more progressive, right? And I don't know, it just feels like there's a big part of the conversation once again being left out, where in or attempted to be silenced, which is, like, the people on the margins that are just like, you know why, like, why once again are we in a situation where, you know we have to decide who, like, I have to decide whether or not I want to be shot in the brain or the foot. I don't want to be shot.
I mean, I think that's the biggest part of the conversation.
Right.
Especially when people say, voting for lesser evils and so forth. And we had this conversation before in regards to what Ava DuVernay posted, and I sort of, not sort of, I maintain my stance. I feel like there's a lot of fear in the air in general,
Sure.
and she spoke to that fear, the fear of people not voting at all,
Mm-hmm.
not even just voting against their interests, but not voting at all. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I think there are a lot of people that are fearful,
Agreed.
and I think she also tapped into that. It's like because the moment that you see someone grumble, and again, it's not right or wrong. You're like, oh God, this person is not going to vote, and we're going to be stuck with this motherfucker for another 4 years. You know, that's the fear. It's like, if you don't, go all in, and people don't feel like you're going all in based upon what you're saying, like if you're giving a critique and so forth, the fear is that you're not going to go down and vote, however you do vote. And
No, that's not the fear. The fear is not that you're not going to
well,
go
no,
down
let
and
me finish.
okay. Okay.
I think that's a part. I think that is a part of the fear. And I'm saying that because I've seen other people post similar things, not just with this election, but previous elections. Even the election previous to this, when he was 45, was being voted into office. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, please vote for the love of God and all that's holy. Black people vote, please go, please go. And, like, yeah, they're treating us like we don't go. It's like, no, majority of us go. A good chunk of us go. Yes, talk to the people that don't go, that are outside of
Mm.
our community. You
Okay.
know, you know what I'm saying? But I think there is an overall fear, and I think it's heightened because we've mentioned before that the pandemic is a magnifier, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think the fear is magnified, based upon what we've gone through with this pandemic, based upon the different things that are going on with racialized violence against Black folks and Asian folks. And so I think fear is greatly in the air. And again, I'm not saying whether her approach was right or wrong. I'm just saying that she definitely is not the only one that feels that. At the same time, I think it is important that we critique, we give opinions, we hold people accountable before they go into office, as well as when they get in, you know, because we want we want the best for our communities. We want better than what we receive. And the only way you kind of try to at least make certain of that, or at least hold people to their word as best as possible. Because that's another conversation. Once people get into office, there's only certain things they can do for the given amount of time that they're in that office. And with what 45 has done for the past 4 years is unravel a whole bunch of stuff. Like a lot has damage has been done. So whoever goes into that office after him is going to have to, I'm not even going to use the word fix, but they're going to have to attend to all these various issues and see how they can adjust, how they can amend, if at all, and it may take longer than their actual tenure in that office. So I think my standpoint is just like there's layers to that stuff. Like I acknowledge people's fear, but I would just say this, like we're not the ones you should be afraid of. If you're going to hold fear in your body at all.
Well,
I'm done.
I hear that. Here's what I was going to say. So this thing of go vote. It doesn't matter who you go vote for. Go vote for a lot of. I think that's bullshit. I think when people are like, "Oh my God, please go vote," the unspoken truth is, go vote for the person I want you to vote for.
Yes, that's true.
So right, so that's what I was going to say. So it's not this thing of, "Oh my God, go vote," right? And I'm singling out Ava DuVernay because she is like the sort of most vibrant one that was in like my personal sphere. Because when I tell you, everybody was like sharing it, like, "Oh my God, this thing that she's saying, this thing," and like I went and looked at it, and all of these people liked it, like really good friends of mine. That I was like, are we really accepting this lady talking to us like this? Which is why I was like, who is she talking to? Because I did not appreciate, because if like you came and Regine sat and said to me exactly what she said to me, I'd be like, bitch, get the fuck out of my face. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Like, we're not both adults right now. Right? And so there's this like, and then it made me think of Malcolm X, who said the thing about, like celebrities are puppets, like black celebrities are like puppets of like, the white propaganda machine. And I was just like, people repost that shit all the time. And it's like, we don't listen to it. Right. Because somebody that like we think is, and again, like, I don't know, there's something about, like black elite or whatever, or like black celebrities being positioned as like, puppets. I don't know. Like I have the clip because I went and found it. And I've been wanting to like share it. And even that too, like even the censorship thing and the silencing thing is already working on me, because I'm just like, you know what? I don't even want to hear no shenanigans. Like, I don't want this to be a thing where like I seem like I'm dissenting, even though I am dissenting, because like I don't care and I want to sow discord and blah 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 and this shit of, well, if you don't vote for blah, then you're voting for blah, like don't tell me, and I say all this as someone who will very likely fucking do the thing where I go and I vote down ballot and blah, 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 and like fill out all the whatevers and blah. Like, so, I am like pretty firmly ensconced in like the 95% of black women, right? So yes. So I feel very, aligned with the vibration of, I'm going to do what I fucking got to do and like participate in this bipartisan bullshit. And I'm still going to be pissed about it. Right. So that I feel like I'm in that. I feel like I'm firmly in this space of like, I am not the one you need to fucking talk to. Right. And to me, non-black people, frankly, are not even a part of this conversation as far as I'm concerned. Because let Becky come to me and say some shit to me about, how I'm a vote, and watch me slit her throat. Be like, yo, did you talk to your grandma? Because if you didn't talk to your grandma, I'm going to need you to turn your head around. Like literally, not your body, just your head, literally just exorcist style, just turn your shit around and get the fuck out of my face. Because like, I'm gonna need you to break your own neck. I'm gonna need you to break your own neck so you don't fucking look at me right now, because I'm not the one you should be fucking talking to. So I say all that to say, I'm not talking to, it's not that I'm not talking to white people about this, but it's just like, I'm real specific about the white people whose opinions I'm like lending any credence to at this situation, because, how I feel about whiteness and white supremacist delusion, and how it just fucking grinds through blackness because it knows no other way. So this is a conversation. This is an internal discourse to me about like one of the races with which I identify, and the one I identify most with my fucking multiracial ass over here, but like black, right? So this thing, this is not. I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with Pharrell being in some kind of think tank, or saying some shit about how like master and slave terminology in music is problematic because like what, like 4 years ago or 3 years ago, Pharrell was a new black talking about like we should transcend this. It just feels to me like
Yeah, he's supposed to be writing. I'm sorry,
yeah,
race
no, yeah,
essays.
go. His what?
He's supposed to be writing essays on race,
Yeah, something
right?
like that.
Okay.
And I'm just like, but you didn't get like at the beginning of this, uh, you know, pandemic, he was one of the ones that got dragged over the coals because he said some out of touch shit. So it's interesting to me the people that, like who get sort of like presented, as like the voices that we as black people should like, look to or listen to, you know what I mean? The advice we should take, the line into which, we should fall in line, which line? I'm not interested in that line. You know what I mean? And like, why can't we have this conversation when ultimately the thing is like the black electorate rarely makes a difference. It doesn't, I don't think it really makes a difference. And like Sonia Renee Taylor, so funny. I told you about this the other day. Sonia Renee Taylor said this thing about, like the cake of America, right? And she likened it to a cake, and she likened it to, like let's say you make a cake and like and you put the cake in the oven and oops, you realize that instead of a cup of sugar, you put in a cup of salt, right? You can't unbake that cake. There are no chunks of salt you can take out,
No, you gotta
right?
throw it out.
The cake is fucked up, you know. But instead of throwing it out and starting over, here in this country in particular, we're like, okay, well, we'll just put a whole bunch of icing on that shit and hope motherfuckers don't notice.
Oh, it's nasty.
Well, yes, booty. Yes, it is nasty, and that's the point, right? That's the point. And so, the thing that she said, amongst so many other genius things she said, was that she was just like, Americans have this real interesting, like this, like I can't remember what like phrase she used it, but it was something like this like swath of kind of exceptionalism, where it's just like you're convinced that like you can get out of the way of it's like playing chicken, right? Like you can
Mm-hmm.
get out of the way of
Mm-hmm.
this train until the shit is like basically in your face. And this feels to me like chicken, and at this point, and I've been saying this since the beginning, like if we can, right? If it can even happen, because again, wearing mailboxes and this thing where DeJoy was just like, okay, we're gonna stop. Like it felt very similar to me about like, Bolsonaro when the fucking the rainforest was like burning, where it's just like, oh, they just like let the shenanigans happen for just long enough that like it meets our agenda. Okay, we're gonna stop it now. So it's just like already like there's already been over something like damn near 700 um, mailboxes that have been disassembled, and it takes months to put them back together. So it's just like this thing where he came out and he put this statement, he's like, we're suspending everything. It just feels like just like dollops of icing like being thrown. It's almost like you take a bite of this salty ass nasty ass cake and you're like, ew, and then as you open your mouth to like spit the chunk of cake out, somebody comes and shoves some icing in your mouth and then shuts your mouth. And they're like, no, you're gonna fucking eat it. You're gonna eat this nasty bullshit ass ruined ass cake with this extra piece of diabetes on top of it, and you're gonna fucking like it. You non-white whatever you are, like you thing that doesn't exist in the narrow parameters of what we say is allowed to succeed, and it's just kind of like, okay. I get to complain about that, like I get to shine a light on how fucked up that is. And you, lady, and whomever, again, Avatar as like this thing, this sort of like, weird faceless, like with many limbs, like, and melanin, just like monster of, like elite, new, black, whatever, you know what I mean? That just sort of gets like trolloped out every 4 years to tell the niggas on the ground how to behave. I'm done. I think it's gross. And I think it's extra gross, and by design, when white folks glom onto that shit. Well, this black one said, like this famous black said that you should be quiet, just be happy.
That person doesn't speak for me.
Right. And so there's nuance that's missing, and that that I even then, like I lose complexities and my access to nuance because when things like this happen, because I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, they think we're dumb. They think we're dumb and they think we're gonna fall for it. And it's not that I think we're dumb, it's just that I think we're so weary and so distracted and so tired. So I don't know, girl. I don't
Well,
know.
don't
Parse.
mistake me. Like, don't mistake me. It's not that I don't agree with you. I think that I'm just sensitive to the fact of, I'm going to keep saying this about the fear factor.
Yeah.
And again, it's not to say that people, you should hold that fear, because it is a part of colonization, and that mistrust, us mistrusting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ooh, Shakira not going to vote. I feel it. Shakira ain't gonna vote. Tyreek not gonna vote neither. Like, I gotta say something. Just y'all keep your mouth shut. Just show it not united front until they get the job. I mean, it's very much about slavery,
Mm.
and that mindset. So I'm thoughtful about it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, let's snap out of it and this, that, and the third. But if we're talking about intergenerational trauma and blah, blah, that's part of her intergenerational trauma. And how do we say, like, yo, I understand that's part of your intergenerational trauma, and in some way, shape, or form, it's part of mine too. But well, let's not continue it. Let's not do it. Let's just say that we can move forward by holding people accountable, saying that this person did such and such a thing, and it wasn't right, it was messed up, it was unlawful. We don't trust this person. We want to know how we can trust them.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know how they're unraveling their nonsense. We don't know. We want to know that they understand and comprehend that what they've done prior won't stand with us while they're sitting up in an office we put them in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's valid, and I think it's important, and it doesn't take away from the fact that we're going to go down and vote for the person or persons that are most best into best our best interest. I don't think I said that properly, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys understand what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, whoever's the most who's in our best interest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it's a lot. That's why I always talk about those pillars, because it touches everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm looking at like a person like Ava. I'm looking at a person like Pharrell. It's like, do you realize that's what you're doing? Like,
Yes.
do you realize that's how it's harming us? So yeah, I believe some people do. I believe some people do, but I do also feel that sometimes things are so integrated that you don't necessarily realize that that's what you're doing,
Right.
and you have to be called on it. And then once you're called, you're like, oh shoot, it's like, yep. Because honestly, I don't think I want to read any race essays from Pharrell. What? I'm not. I want to read the essay where you're telling me what work you've done.
Right.
That's the essay I want to read.
Right. I mean,
You know.
it's the thing is like, well, do you remember the beginning of the pandemic when he did some sort of shenanigan where he like did a GoFundMe and everybody was like, "Open your wallet, son."
I was in my prayer closet. I was doing real work. Oh, okay. I did not know about that.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty. Yep, I don't think I'm misremembering this. Yeah, I mean, it was 3 years ago. It was back in April. So, but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he was doing some kind of GoFundMe, and people were like, "Son, you are." Yes, it was absolutely him because I remember somebody had just gone and looked up his net worth and just like screenshot it, and put it up as a response.
Isn't it bold? That's some bold shit.
Like, yeah, like he was like, "Come out your butt," and people were just like, "Yo, son, we can't work. You are like worth $50 million, and you basically live on a compound.
That's like, getting
Shut
paid
up."
for what? What are we paying for? Like, you pay for that.
It
What?
was something, and this thing of like, it's no longer. I don't know if, and I realize that in a lot of ways in the minority because like again, this thing that Sonia Renee Taylor said. she was just like, yeah, no, like some of my friends are really just like, yeah, about like the nomination, like, woo, woo, they can do it. And some of my more radical friends, like, this is bullshit. And I'm living this Pisces life, so I'm over here, like the day it happened, like three different people informed me at once, and it was about 15 minutes before I was going to teach one of my meditation classes that it all happened, and I just sort of like felt myself like in that moment, just kind of detached from like human reality a little bit, like 6 more inches, because I was just like, I can't be a part of this, like I can't be a part of like all of like this, like it's life or death discourse, blah 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 blah, all of that, because the
Well, it's
simple
fear
fact of the matter is,
mongering.
absolutely, and the simple fact of the matter is, like, it is life or death, but it was life or death before, like the people that think that
Yeah,
all of like they're
this
the
ain't new.
vast privilege, right, to live in, to have a mental space wherein you believe that all of this started with 45 is wild.
Yes.
Like I've told you about the woman
Yeah.
I know who was well in her 50s and said after, I think we talked about it on this podcast, and who said after like the electoral college didn't like, pull us back from the brink of the disaster of having this man as president, she said something like, for the first time in my life, I think that the government doesn't care about us. And I was like, what?
Wow.
It really was something like that. And I was like, okay.
You're just beyond delusional. Are you
I was
kidding
like,
me?
it was not, yeah, like she was just like, I can't, she was like at this, but, and I was just like, okay, the drama, the level of drama, the level, like, what has your life been? What has your life been?
Privileged.
I mean, it
Wow.
reminds me of in 2001, after September 11th, I was sitting and I was talking to this friend of mine who he's a person he had no right ever living in New York, like from the Midwest, like, you know, a very, I don't want to get too much into it, but we're sitting
Well,
there, we're talking, and he said,
part of the New York is over crowd.
no, well, New York was never under for him, like
Hmm.
he lived in, he, let me put it this way. When he lived here, he proudly never went anywhere that the 6 train didn't go.
Okay.
Right? So right, okay. So it was, a stopgap. Totally fine, whatever. And so after September 11th happened, he said he was just like, I trust that the government will do what's right. And I was like, what? Like I just remember, and I just remember being like, yeah, we're not the same. This is a different thing. And so I do, it's my like, one of my kind of like existential like dances of this thing I always talk about where it's just like burn it all to the ground, right? And also like we can all ascend it, and like finding a balance in that, because it's just, there's, I say all that to say, depending on what happens, we're either going to see, depending on how this goes, right? Where my sense is that, generally, these are all generalizations, obviously, we're going to have a whole bunch of people, like the people who were closer to the spectrum of everything was great until this guy stole the election 4 years ago,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We're going to have those people, like if the shit goes blue, right? If it goes the way that those people want it to go, we're going to have a whole bunch, like a whole segment of the population that just like swings back into like status quo bullshit, right? If it doesn't go that way, it's going to be like a lot more death of them, right? And a lot more visible death, because when the things are just like placid on the surface, it's real easy for those people who live in that mental, yeah, to just look away from stuff. Like it's real
Yeah.
easy for those people to, oh well, we have to know the whole story, and did that person, were they resisting arrest, and did and all this, and oh, it's too bad. Like it really is too bad about Black people internally. I'm glad it's not me. It really is too bad about them. Whew, I'm glad it's not me. Right? So you're gonna have that segment of the population. If it doesn't go their way, it's gonna be like the same, but just more visible, and more of the hand wringing, and more of the screaming, and more of this and more of that. So this thing of vote them in and then hold them accountable, there will still be motherfuckers who are holding them accountable if the shit does turn the way that folks want it to, you know. Um, but there will be fewer people holding them accountable. I promise you, there's gonna be a fall off. Of course, there's gonna be a fall off because, like I said, those motherfuckers, like I said, they posted their little black squares and kept it pushing. Not all of them, but a lot of them, more than
Well, that
I'd like to
caused
see.
harm.
Of course it did. So, it's
Ridiculous.
just seeing it, just seeing the like, I saw I saw somebody put on their dog account, like their dog account, and I'll tell you who it was privately. I'll tell you offline. But like they had their dog post a black square, and it was like muted and listening, and I was like, go straight to hell. I was
Oh.
like, go straight to hell and leave your dog. I was like, you go jump in a volcano, an active volcano, and leave your dog, and I'll take care of your dog. And I was just
Oh,
like, what the fuck are
I'm
you
still
doing?
stuck on the lady that painted Black Lives Matter on her pregnant belly, and there's no black
Mm-hmm.
child in there,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
and she was a white woman. Um,
It's wild.
yeah, yeah, that does
And
not help us.
and I want to talk about this too. I want to talk about the commodification of Breonna Taylor. That's
Mm,
real hard for me. The
okay,
memes and the hats, like LeBron. Did you see that hat?
I think I did.
So first of all, in my opinion, the like, ha ha, nah, just kidding, red hat thing played. It's played
Hmm.
out. Red hats are done. Because, like, in the time it's going to take for the person to see whatever little, like, witticism you have on your red hat, like, the damage is already done. Like, I'm
Yeah, they just see
already,
the
I'm
red hat.
already in fight or flight at that
Hmm.
point. To be like, ha ha ha, you silly, right? Like, so when I see that, like, everything about the execution of that, like, concerned me and it bummed me out. Like, the
Hmm.
fucked up ass font, the fact, like, I was just like, this is not. And I read and I lost it because it was like so fast. But somewhere on Twitter, somebody who lives where she was saying that the reason they're not going to investigate it is because like it's a part of a much larger like city rezoning something or other. Like there's some shit the person connected it. I'd have to find it again. I don't know. So I want to say I don't want to say anything else about it, but it made a lot of sense to me why it's just like quiet on the whole front about that. And when I see people like Sarah Paulson in shirts that say arrest the cops who made, I'm just like, okay, who made those shirts? Who's getting the money from those shirts? Is like where are the proceeds from those shirts going? And it's just like I
Yeah.
don't like people don't I don't necessarily know if that's something that's being investigated. Do you know what I mean? Because anybody
Hmm.
can screen print some shit on a shirt,
Of course, yeah.
and so I'm just kind of like, ooh, like I don't know if that girl is resting in peace. You know what I'm saying? And but I certainly don't know if I just there's something about it. There's something about it that's really making me cringe. It doesn't sit right in my spirit. It doesn't sit right in my spirit. The fact that like the way our collective discourse, like our interracial discourse, right, around these things is just, so like sound bitey that, she has become this, like her memory in some way has just sort of been like plasticized. You know what I mean? Like it too has been like it's been like put through this weird like celebrity ringer. Like she's a celebrity because of the way she died. Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
It's horrific.
well,
I mean,
I don't even know what descriptor I'd put on it because like I don't know how to place it. I don't know how
well,
to place it in my psyche other than other than sitting in discomfort.
well, I'm saying it's horrific because I mean she's famous, like you said, because of the way she died. That's so it it's morbid.
Yeah, it's
It's like
macabre. That's very true.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I agree with you. I understand if people want to like sort of support and put that out there. I'm hoping that people are not selling things. I mean, because they may just be like print on demand, have a shirt done, have a hat done, and just want to show some type of support. If it's something that the family is doing and putting together to raise funds to do for whatever is needed
right.
to preserve her memory, to take care of, she has children, I believe. I believe she has children,
I
if
am
I'm
not
not
sure.
mistaken. But to help maintain the family. But if it's not for that, then it's like y'all, like what are we doing? I mean, I think we're losing the point of the mission.
Yeah.
The point is to get the cops that killed her and had anything to do in and around it, because apparently there were more police officers on the scene than they originally thought, and have
Mm-mm.
them all arrested. have every single one arrested. And yeah, I think folks are losing sight of the mission. And then now with this new information that you just gave, I'm like,
I gotta find it. I gotta track it down. Shit, it's probably scrubbed or some shit now. But like I saw it. When I find it, I'll send it to you. Again, I'll send it to you offline so we can discuss. But I was just like, huh. Like it was someone where they were like, "This is the thing I know." Like the person who tweeted it, it was a whole thread, and it feels like they worked for the city plan. Something. It was something about that. Like it was something where,
they work for the city planning committee.
yeah, the person who tweeted it, and
Hmm.
yeah, we'll discuss more in privat.
Hmm.
But yes, let's talk about good things. What's good? I mean,
Okay.
here's what's good. What's good is
Okay.
let's flip side it. Let's balance it out. What's good again? I always enjoy the learning. I do enjoy the collective learning. The like. Here's the thing that the post office people are saying, and so on and so forth. What was I gonna say? They filed something. Shit. I think I got to eat something because I can't remember. Because there's a thing that they filed that was sort of like a boss move,
Hmm.
even though I feel like it. Even though I was a little bit like, oh, I hope that's not too late.
Yeah.
That's another thing that like we'll have to follow up with the people on. But so yeah, I mean, it's just girl, how are you doing?
I'm
Other
doing
than, I mean, I know you've been
okay.
deep in caretaking mode, so
Well, I've been getting work done.
yes,
I've been getting work done. I hosted a panel last weekend for the virtual edition of FlameCon,
hot.
which is a convention that celebrates and support queer people in the comic book industry, and it was a lot of fun. We did a panel on comics and advocacy, and I've done this before as a workshop. This is my first time doing it as a panel, and it was really great. I really think it's important um, to give people the information about access, like how you can
Hmm.
take something that you really love, that you enjoy, and use it to benefit your community and larger
Yeah.
society, of course,
Yes. Yes.
society at large. And we had some wonderful panelists on who gave like really great information. And I believe the panel is still up on YouTube. You would just have to check out Geeks Out on YouTube to listen to all the panels that happened that day. Ours was the last of the day, and I think so. I think they ended on a good note.
That's
Okay,
right. You got to finish strong.
right, right, but
I
yeah.
learned that in grad school, like for compilations and things.
Hmm.
Like you put the strongest ones at the beginning, at the end, and then you fill up the middle with the things that's weaker.
Yeah, I mean, well, in the sense that you want people to stay, you want to
Yes.
hold their
You want to
attention
grab
as
them,
long
and
as
then you want to
possible.
leave them, and then you want to leave them with a good taste in their
You're
mouth.
like, oh, like I don't want to leave, like, or I gotta come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. It's very true.
Something along those lines.
It's facts. It's facts. I mean,
Yeah,
and that
it's
happens
facts.
everywhere. Like I let you know, is a really good example of that is like Busta Rhymes albums. He
Okay.
does that. I remember having that revelation, like in college. Like I was like, wow, these start real strong, and then they kind of end okay, but in the middle, there's a bit of a teeps. Um, tell people about, you mentioned a thing about people reaching out to you for collaborations and stuff. What's going
Oh,
on there?
well, I got an email out of the blue from uh uh. Wait, tell me something about you. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Tell you something about. Oh, I have. There was some new moon in somebody. I can't remember who. And somebody, and it was just like, yes, for your sign, you're gonna want to do like a new regimen of some type. And I was like, I guess. And it just so happens that like I've just been sort of getting up and being like, yes, I will take this yoga class. Yes, Pilates sounds great. Blah blah blah. So it feels like there was sort of a like a release. Like I definitely had some, how my sleep was all fucked up and like I wasn't like eating right or really drinking water or like just taking care of myself at all. That feels like, I sort of caught up with myself a little bit in the past couple weeks.
Okay, good.
Did you handle your business?
Yes,
Great.
Auntie.
Okay. Oh, I figured. I figured. I was just like, what can I say? I'm
It's
working on my
Auntie.
chaturanga.
Like, it's like, guys, like folks
Yes.
out there, this is real life. I don't edit nothing out. This it.
What did I say? What did we say at the beginning? Yes.
Super 100. We're keeping it
Keeping it
super
super
100.
100. Yeah, no, I've been really working on my chaturanga dandasana, which is like always been very challenging for me.
Okay.
Um, so I just like um,
Like cats.
uh, do cats do? Do cats really? They sometimes do. I don't think they hold
They
it
don't
though.
do a
They
full
usually,
one, but I mean, when you said the, my first thought was, when they splat.
yeah, no, no, that, yeah, no, yeah, no, this is the one where like I can't really hold it. Like I can't like the lowering down into it is has
Hmm.
never been like an elegant, graceful thing. So I was like, okay, you know what, we're gonna practice this. So I've been working on it with the block. And it's
Mm.
it's hard. And so I actually did some research and people were like, no, it's a very challenging pose, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, I'm not alone.
Well, in
You know,
our uh, in our fitness classes that we do, the dance fitness that we do like the rolling. At least my teacher does. She
yes,
does the
yes, yes, yes,
rolling like
yes.
chaturanga, and I'm like, no, I can't.
It's a really hard, yeah, like those muscles in particular. So
I'm
like
like,
even that, but even that, like I know, like I had sort of been cheating where I would like put my elbows out, but like I'm trying to get like real legit chaturanga where your shit is like glued to the side of your body, like your elbows are like in like touching the side of your body.
mm-hmm.
So because I was like, you know what, I've been fucking having some sort of in and out some sort of yoga practice since I'm in my 20s, and like I just want to even for a second. It was like there was because like wheel pose. I was like, ugh. There was a time when I just just pop back into wheel pose. So it just feels like, you know, I've gotten to a place of being inside since this is the year we stayed inside and minded our own fucking business.
Yeah,
Where like it's descended. You know how I always say like things move real fast in like the energetic realm, and then
yeah,
they're a little bit slower in the mental realm, and then it's like super slow in the physical realm because everything is dense. You have to get through like muscle and bone and fat and skin and all that. So it just feels like shit is finally now starting to trickle down into the like physical plane for me. So that feels exciting. Um,
well, that's good. That's good.
yes, child. Yes, baby.
So,
So
so I'll say what happened with me. What happened was I just got a random email
yes.
from a literary scouting company. Then they're interested in, I guess, pitching one of my my comics to a
Yeah.
client of theirs.
Yes.
So their concentration is film and TV.
Okay.
So that's what that is there. So we'll see. We'll see.
I'm into it.
Yeah, like me too. It's like we'll see. We'll see. Like it was interesting just to tweet it, and then you see all this support. I was like, oh, people are so sweet. But
I was
it's
so
nice.
excited. Like when you were like, do I like you saw my text when I was like, Adrian? I was like,
Yeah, because
I just
I
had
said
one.
something like, "Oh, I got this email today from a literary scout for like film and TV. I guess I should look for an agent." And I put a shrug emoji, like I guess.
Yes.
Um,
And then I came in man enthusiastic, like, so it is. Like, I
and so it
say,
shall be.
bitch.
I say, and so it shall be done. Okay. No, I mean, like things. I mean, things take time in general. It like takes time for things to
Everything
kick
longer
off,
than
and
you think.
way longer than you think. Like I've been writing comics for 14 years.
Right.
And we've had the Women in Comics organization for 8. So it's interesting when people start to discover you and
Mm-hmm.
think they got the next new thing or the next big thing, and it's like, well, I've been here, but okay. Um, but I'm like, yo, it's cool. I always wanted to get to a point where when people just find you, they're like, oh, do
Yeah.
I have to send a query letter? I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I've sent 200 and each one is a rejection letter back. So should I? You start to
Yeah.
question if you should be doing something or not. But, um, you get a little bit down in the dumps every once in a while in regards to that stuff, but you just keep trucking. At least that's what I try to do. So this is nice, regardless of where it goes. I'm thankful. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thankful for the
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that are coming, and because I am supposed to be working on a couple of other projects in the coming year, doing some more anthologies and such. And I'm proud of myself because I hadn't been writing like that.
Yes.
I haven't been writing in a long time. Like I really
Yes.
had a break. I said, nope, this is a nice long break. I'm not writing anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But within the last 4 months, I think I've written. I think I've written 4 or 5 scripts, and then I'm also,
Hot.
and I have a few more. I have a couple more
Nice.
that I'm supposed to be writing outside of my own work. So I mean that's cool. So
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. It's nice to know that people are interested in
Yeah.
uh, seeing stories from me. So that's great.
That is great. I've
Mhm.
actually been working on a couple of things. I love how our lives like dovetail in these ways where they're like super specific to each of us, but they are very harmonious with each other. I've been doing a lot of creative consultation. Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to slip you some ducats because I think I'm gonna want Genie Psychic time. I want some hashtag Genie be knowing. I don't know if y'all know this. I don't know. Can I out you right now? Can I out your sparkle
You
powers?
can, you can, yeah,
Okay,
you
so
can.
I don't know if y'all know this. I know I come in, guns blazing with the bitches. I can talk to dead people. Um, but your good friend Regina L. Sawyer is very intuitively inclined. And I have had the honor and privilege of being able to witness as she has like grown and into and really magnified and refined her intuitive abilities. So I will oftentimes ask her to quote unquote look into things for me, which is no small bullshit because I have mad, phenomenal cosmic abilities, and so I feel like it is a great testament to her intuitive abilities that I would ask her to look into things for me. And yes, because I am that bitch, and so is my friend. And if she
Mhm.
wasn't that bitch, I wouldn't ask her to see what's going on with like my jaw. So I say all that to say, um, I've been really enjoying this. So yeah, so one of the things I want to ask you about is it feels like there's another sort of thing coalescing, like an offering to people, where it is this like kind of creative consultation. Because I've had a number of calls now where people specifically will be like, this thing that I'm working on, and it's beautiful because I don't know why it took me this long, or actually whatever divine timing to realize that those were things that I could combine, right? Like I could combine, this sort of like this like institutionalized, like credentialed sort of education, right? With, like intuitive stuff and just be like, oh, yes, well, actually, like whatever, connection of, like source energy, download information that as in regards to like the script is saying like blah, 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 blah. So that's happened. That's been happening a couple of times and that feels really nice. It
That's
feels just like
great.
a nice broadening of something. So I want to get in some field hours with you on that one, madam.
Okay, no problem.
Um, yes, before I start, telling people to give me money for it. But like, let's be honest, people should be giving me money for it. There's this thing today. I want. Do you follow the Nat Ministry? You do, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, you
But go on
please
about it.
follow.
I might.
Love that.
I don't remember, but go ahead.
Well,
Tell
so
us.
she's a black woman. I don't even remember her real name. I'm not even sure if she's ever shared. I'm sure she shared it, and I'm just bugging. But she said this thing today. Um, well, she reposted one of her own tweets, her own tweet threads, and she said, and this relates to what I was just talking about like bad bitches run with bad bitches. So she goes, imposter syndrome. I think it doesn't exist and is just sexism and white supremacy making you feel like shit. This is crucial for black people in work settings who are usually the smartest person up in the place, but be feeling inadequate due to the fuckery. She goes on. The term imposter syndrome was coined by clinical psychologists Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes in 1978 when they found that despite having adequate external evidence of accomplishments, people with imposter syndrome remain convinced that they don't deserve the success they have. And then she says, nah, black women, stop claiming this mess. You believing you don't deserve the success you have is due to your toxic socialization of being a black woman in a culture that hates you. White supremacy and sexism is the problem. And
I
that
get
hit
that.
me. That hit me hard. I was like, yeah, yes. Yeah, I'm a bad bitch, and I'm gonna tell you to your face. And I remember being in undergrad, and a number of people calling me cocky,
Mm,
and like, oh, you're so full of yourself and this and that. And it wasn't even that. I was just like, no, there's things that I can do. Like, this is just the thing, and just watch. And this was like, other Black women who would say this to me, which then, and now we're full circle, right? With this thing of like, how one of the, like, just another insidious channel of like white supremacist delusion is how it convinces us as Black people to police like internally,
yes.
which is exactly what it feels like is part of this discourse with these like Black elites telling, like, talking down to us and telling us that we should behave a certain way, that we need to fall in line.
Well, that's basically what I said.
I know.
Hmm.
I know. That's why I said it was full circle, darling.
Okay. 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 Just
Yeah.
saying. Hmm.
Yeah, it's yeah, yeah. So for a while, yeah, it's just I don't like it. I don't like it.
I see
I don't
that.
like
I
it.
see that.
I don't like it. I feel, yeah, and I just yeah, even I feel like even Black folks that are gonna yell about you should go vote, you should go vote. I, yeah, I feel like
It's definitely food for thought.
only yell at non-Black people.
It's like I said, it's definitely food for thought because I like you said, not us.
Yeah,
Like not us.
yeah,
It's like when we do what it needs to be done.
every time.
We do. We often are the ones that say what needs to be said.
Right,
We only have a few minutes left, but I mean, I just want to say, like, I guess it was a couple of days ago. Oh God, it feels like last week, but it was a couple of days ago, where not just one person, but two people, one was a white woman, one was a white man, said something along the lines of, Black women are going to save all of us, and
ugh,
I'm like, no, 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 don't put that on us.
yeah,
Don't put that on us. Save yourselves. Y'all caused this. Y'all fix it. We do what we can do for ourselves and our communities, and also on the flip side, you want us to save somebody, you need to support our communities. Money needs to be put into it. Higher living wage, peace of
right.
mind, uh, a home. Like right now, people are concerned about losing their homes. It's like we need all of these things, but you want us to go save you? Nope, no.
I mean, I just, and and I understand, I definitely understand why people are like, vote, vote, and I also understand the conversation where it's just like, okay, you can't vote without an address. We have an eviction crisis looming, you know? And
Yes,
this thing of this deep desire for saviors, right? And how that is so, just entangled, thank you, Jada, entangled with this thing of like Black womanhood, right? So anybody at this point who fixes their face still like, and that's the thing is like this particular avenue of the discourse is old and dusty. Black women will save us is so fucking played. It's so played. Like when I see people, it's the kind of thing like how when after the Women's March, that one chicken that I don't talk to no more actually came out and was like, not all white women, and I was like, are you joking? Like when I see people say things like that, it I immediately am like, oh, they must be trolling. They can't actually be serious. Like you can't actually be serious about what you're. Oh no, you are serious. Okay, so now we're gonna have to drag you again. And I saw somebody write this other thing where it was just like, white people don't even know the things white people do to terrorize non-white people. They're not even aware of
yeah,
it.
yeah. That's I
And
mean
I
that's how
was,
deep seated it is.
yeah, and I was like, that's a word right there. That's a word right there. Because that then leads back into the believe Black people and the, oh, they can't be that, and oh, you must be blind, that you have to be, it's
Mm.
just like because the shit is so insidious, because the shit is so deep seated, because it is so ubiquitous and so normalized, that is why, you say this and that thing was blah, and there's pushback. Well, it can't be that because that person is a good person. So if they're good, they can't be racist. Yes, they can.
It's
I'm
absolutely.
good, so I can't be racist. If I'm racist, that makes me bad. But you did a racist thing though. Can we then separate you are racist from you did a racist thing? And if you do like many racist things, then what does that mean?
Racist.
So
Oh,
it's
girl.
this, and so it's again, like once again, here we go, like tiptoeing and navigating and blah 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 whiteness. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, did I send you the little video? Last thing. There was so I'll send it to you. We can talk about it next week. So there's this senator, congressman, I don't know, some municipal someone from Clarksville, Tennessee, and his name is Jason Hodges or something like that. And so there was some meeting they were all having a couple weeks ago where he came out and he said there's video of him basically saying, I think as white people, it would behoove us to consider the fact that the folks who are out here protesting police brutality are met with more police brutality, and perhaps that might be what they're like he just pointed it out. And what's amazing about the video, and what I didn't even notice until I sent it to a friend of mine and she pointed it out to me, is that there is another white man, and the way it's filmed is that the non Jason Hodges white man, we're gonna call him the human fart because that's what my friend called him. My friend was like, "Who is this fart of a human in front?" I was like, "I didn't even notice that guy." So human fart is like, if you when you see the video or the clip rather, he's like at the bottom portion of your screen, and Jason Hodges is taking up the majority of your screen. He's talking. And so as soon as he says white people, effectively he says, so we as white people need to blah, 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 blah. So as soon as he says white people, human fart basically has the equivalent of a stroke. Like literally, like his eye squinches up. It does. His eye squinches up and he's like, and you just see him like go through all these emotions just because like a fellow white man had the nerve to call them what they are.
Absolutely.
And I was like, yeah, I don't really know. Like, I'm not sure if Kumbaya is gonna rock this for us
Well, that's
because
the big
they,
thing we're going
yeah,
to talk about next week.
yes,
That's a lot of bochinche.
yeah. Leave them wanting more, bitch. You gotta
That's
go out
right.
strong.
That's right. Is there anything you want to let the folks know that you're doing in the coming week?
Shit. Just follow me on Instagram, and that'll eventually tell you how to get to my website and my Patreon because that's where the good shit is. Basically, like the long form writing and the speaking is here. So, at the Ilka Pinero, yeah, that's really it. Just
Okay.
stay with it because it's changing all the time. But I don't see myself uh, silencing at any point. It just feels like the bullhorn might take a different shape.
Okay. That's
What you
fair.
yes, tell the people what you have going on.
What do I have going on? Well, I'm here and present,
Wait,
and
how
I
how
counted
are we
for.
getting? But wait, let me interject here. All of
Okay.
these things that you've written, how do we get access to them? What's the
You
deal with that?
will. I'll
Okay,
announce.
great.
I'll announce it when things are published,
Are firmed
or
up.
in the or
Wonderful.
yeah, we're in the process. So a lot of things are like in the production process.
Hot
So once
shit,
the
baby.
books are released, which will probably be maybe a couple this fall, and probably a few in the winter, and maybe early spring of next year. So yeah, as soon as I know when things are being produced and printed, y'all will be the first to know. But
Hot shit.
outside of that, yeah, I'll still be writing this weekend. I'll be writing. That's for sure. But also, Women in Comics, we partnered with Ladies Con and Comics in Color to present a virtual convention. Ladies Con, a virtual edition, is happening next month from September 9th through the 13th. Free content for all. There'll be panel discussions. There'll be probably some cosplay workshops. Women in Comics, we're doing our signature drink drawn poll on September 12th,
Hot.
um, at 6:30 p.m. So
Hot.
definitely check that out. Proceeds of tickets goes to the Wink Media Fellowship, which is a program that we developed since relaunching the membership, where we're helping up and coming comic book professionals basically get whatever they need in terms of mentorship, um, supplies, support, all the things. And you can definitely check that out on our website, www.womenincomicscollective.org. So,
Ooh.
yeah, so that's some of the stuff. So Lord willing, we'll be back next week. We'll send a little official shout out. We'll see. But I like these little pop ups. It's so
Me too. Keep
unexpected,
motherfuckers on their
right?
toes.
Like it's like it's special. It's special. It's cute. I love it. So take care, y'all, and be well. Bye.
Wow.